The quiet within you is not empty, it is alive with wisdom and peace. When you surrender to it, a deeper intelligence takes over a force that knows how to restore balance without your interference. Just as a wound in the body heals when left undisturbed, so does the heart, the mind, and the soul. True healing is not a destination we reach through effort, it is a natural unfolding that happens when we allow ourselves to rest in the stillness of presence. In our modern world, we are conditioned to believe that progress comes from constant striving, working harder, seeking solutions, fixing what feels broken. Yet healing, in its most profound sense, does not occur through force or relentless effort. Instead, it emerges when we stop, listen, and allow life to flow as it is. Stillness is not the absence of activity, it is the quality of complete presence. It is a space where time dissolves, and all that remains is the quiet awareness of this moment. In that space, the noise of the mind, the incessant thoughts, judgments, and fears begins to subside. What replaces it is a profound sense of clarity and peace, a feeling of being deeply connected to something greater than the self. This connection is not external, it arises from within. It is the essence of who we are. When we bring stillness to our pain, be it physical, emotional, or spiritual, we allow healing to happen on its own. Often our instinct is to resist discomfort, to label it as bad, and to fight against it. But resistance only deepens the wound. The more we push, the more tangled we become in our suffering. In contrast, when we approach our pain with acceptance and presence, we create space for it to transform. Imagine holding a clenched fist. The tighter you grip, the more tension builds. Now imagine opening that fist, letting the muscles relax. In that openness, tension dissolves naturally. Healing in stillness works the same way. When we let go of the need to control or fix, we open ourselves to the deeper intelligence of life. This intelligence, which some may call the flow of nature, the wisdom of the body, or the presence of the divine, knows how to bring balance and harmony without our interference. The mind, in its striving, often forgets this truth. It wants solutions, timelines, and guarantees. It asks, how long will this take? What must I do to fix this? But the art of healing cannot be rushed or forced. It requires us to trust the process, even when we do not understand it. Trust does not mean passivity, it means actively choosing presence over resistance. It means sitting with discomfort, breathing through it, and allowing it to unfold without judgment. In stillness, we discover that healing is not about erasing pain or returning to some idealized version of ourselves. It is about embracing what is with compassion and openness. It is about recognizing that beneath the surface of our struggles, there is an unchanging essence, a core of peace and wholeness that cannot be broken. To heal in stillness is to step out of the chaos of striving and into the quiet sanctuary of now. In this presence, healing is not something we achieve, it is something we remember. It is the return to the truth of who we are. The present moment is the only reality we truly have. It is here now, always available, yet so often overlooked as our minds dwell on the past or project into the future. When we resist the present moment, wishing it were different, better, or something else entirely, we create a gap between ourselves and the natural flow of life. In that gap, stress, anxiety, and suffering take root. Surrendering to the present moment is not an act of defeat, but a profound step toward peace and restoration. Surrender does not mean resignation or passivity. It is not about giving up on your life or your desires. Instead, surrender is a deep acceptance of what is. It is the recognition that this moment, exactly as it is, holds everything you need. When you stop resisting and start allowing, you open yourself to a profound sense of peace. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances, but arises from within, from your alignment with the now. The mind, however, often rebels against the present. It tells stories about how things should be or could have been. It fixates on the past, rehashing regrets or grievances, or it leaps ahead into the future, spinning fantasies of fear or hope. The mind's resistance to the present moment is the root of much of our suffering. It creates a sense of separation, making us feel as though we are at odds with life itself. To surrender to the present moment is to step out of the mind's endless commentary and into a deeper awareness. It is to say, this is what is happening now, and I will meet it without resistance. This does not mean you condone or approve of every situation. It simply means you stop fighting against reality. In this acceptance, a surprising thing happens. Your inner turmoil begins to dissolve. Surrendering to the now does not mean you stop taking action. In fact, it is often from a place of deep surrender that the most effective and meaningful action arises. When you are fully present, your actions are no longer driven by fear, anger, or desperation. Instead, they are guided by clarity, intuition, and wisdom. This is the paradox of surrender. By letting go of control, you find a deeper sense of empowerment. Healing is one of the most profound expressions of this principle. When we resist pain, whether it is physical, emotional, or spiritual, we often make it worse. Our resistance creates tension, and that tension blocks the natural flow of healing. But when we surrender to the pain, accepting it without judgment, we create space for it to transform. In that space, the body, mind, and spirit can begin to restore themselves. Surrender is the gateway to restoration because it reconnects us with the flow of life. It reminds us that we are not separate from the present moment, but an integral part of it. In this connection, we find peace, not the fleeting peace that comes from external circumstances, but the enduring peace that arises from being fully present. Let the present moment be your refuge. Trust it, embrace it, and surrender to it. In doing so, you will discover the profound healing and wholeness that have been waiting for you all along. Pain is a universal experience, yet we often view it as something to be avoided, suppressed, or fought against. Whether it manifests physically, emotionally, or spiritually, pain is commonly seen as an obstacle to overcome, a disruption to the flow of life. However, this perception often exacerbates our suffering. Resistance to pain creates tension, amplifies discomfort, and keeps us locked in a cycle of struggle. Paradoxically, it is only when we embrace pain without resistance that it begins to dissolve, allowing life to flow naturally once more. At its core, resistance to pain is rooted in fear. The mind labels pain as bad and immediately seeks to push it away. It projects a narrative of injustice, unfairness, or despair, transforming the raw sensation of pain into something far more burdensome. This resistance can manifest physically as muscle tension, emotionally as anxiety or anger, and mentally as obsessive thoughts. In resisting pain, we inadvertently give it more power over us, entangling ourselves in its grip. To embrace pain without resistance is not to welcome it as something desirable, but to meet it with openness and acceptance. This requires a profound shift in perspective from seeing pain as an enemy to recognizing it as a messenger. Pain arises for a reason, signaling that something within us needs attention. When we stop resisting and begin to listen, pain often reveals its purpose, guiding us toward deeper understanding and growth. Imagine holding a heavy weight. The more you resist the weight, trying to push it away, the heavier it feels. But when you stop struggling and simply hold it, the experience shifts. You may still feel the weight, but the strain diminishes. The same principle applies to pain. When we stop resisting and allow ourselves to fully feel it, without judgment or fear, its intensity often lessens. This approach is not about wallowing in pain or amplifying its presence. It is about being fully present with it, observing it without the added layers of mental resistance or emotional turmoil. By doing so, we create space for the natural flow of life to resume. The body knows how to heal, the heart knows how to mend. But this process requires us to step out of the way, to let go of our attempts to control or suppress what we are feeling. Pain embraced without resistance becomes a teacher. It reveals the areas of our lives where we are out of alignment, where we are clinging too tightly, or where we need to let go. It shows us the parts of ourselves that are calling for compassion and attention. As we meet pain with openness, it begins to shift, dissolve, and transform. Life is inherently fluid, constantly moving and evolving. When we resist pain, we dam the natural flow, creating blockages that lead to further suffering. But when we embrace pain as part of the flow, we allow life to move through us, carrying us toward healing and renewal. In this practice of non-resistance, we discover a profound truth: pain is not permanent. Like a wave, it rises and falls, and when met with acceptance, it loses its grip. Through this process, we reclaim our connection to the flow of life, experiencing a sense of peace and wholeness that transcends the pain itself. Healing is often misunderstood as fixing what is broken. The word itself can evoke images of mending, repairing, or restoring something to its original state. But true healing goes far beyond the surface level of fixing. It is not about forcing things to return to how they were or erasing discomfort as quickly as possible. Instead, healing is a process of alignment, of connecting with the deeper intelligence that flows through all existence and allowing it to guide us back to balance and wholeness. Fixing comes from the mind, often rooted in a desire for control. When we experience pain, illness, or hardship, our immediate reaction is to analyze, solve, and take action. While practical steps have their place, this mindset can trap us in a cycle of resistance and struggle. Fixing assumes that something is wrong, that we are incomplete or flawed as we are. But healing begins with a different premise: that even in our pain, there is an underlying wholeness waiting to be revealed. This deeper intelligence of existence is not something external. It is within us, within life itself. Consider the way the body heals a wound. We do not consciously direct each cell to repair the damage. The body knows what to do. This same intelligence operates at every level of our being. Emotional wounds, mental confusion, and spiritual disconnection all hold the potential for healing, but the process unfolds naturally when we stop resisting and allow life's wisdom to take its course. Alignment with this deeper intelligence requires us to step away from the need to control outcomes. It asks us to trust in the process even when we do not fully understand it. Trusting does not mean inaction, it means moving with the flow of life rather than against it. It means listening to the signals our bodies, minds, and emotions send us, not as problems to fix, but as messages guiding us toward greater harmony. True healing also recognizes that discomfort, pain, or illness is not an enemy to be eradicated. These experiences often arise as a form of communication, alerting us to areas where we are out of alignment, whether in our relationships, lifestyles, or inner worlds. By tuning in to this communication with openness and curiosity, we begin to work with, rather than against, the process of healing. Healing is not a destination, it is a journey of becoming more aligned with the essence of who we are. This journey may not always look the way we expect. It may involve letting go of old beliefs, embracing uncertainty, or surrendering to the present moment with humility. But as we align ourselves with the flow of life, we often find that healing brings something deeper than relief, it brings transformation. This transformation is not about returning to a past version of ourselves or achieving a state of perfection. It is about recognizing the wholeness that exists beneath our struggles, the unbroken essence that has been with us all along. Healing, then, is not an act of fixing, it is a remembering of our inherent connection to the intelligence of life and a reclaiming of the peace that arises from that connection. Healing is not an act of effort or resistance, but a journey of surrender, presence, and alignment with the deeper flow of life. When we embrace stillness, accept the present moment as it is, and release the need to control or fix, we open ourselves to a profound truth: the essence of who we are is already whole. Pain, discomfort, and challenges are not enemies to be defeated, but guides that point us toward greater awareness, balance, and transformation. As we step away from striving and into trust, we begin to see healing not as a goal to achieve, but as an unfolding process, a return to the natural intelligence of existence. This intelligence works through us and around us, guiding us gently toward restoration. By listening, allowing, and aligning, we create the space for life to flow naturally and for peace to emerge from within. True healing is not about fixing, it is about remembering our unbroken nature and reconnecting with the present moment, where all healing begins and unfolds. It is in this quiet, sacred space that we rediscover the wholeness that has always been ours.